Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Unusual Beginnings. On today's talk, we'll be discussing modern dating challenges. For those of you who don't know, my name is Carly.
And I'm Johnny. Cool intro. Okay, we need to work on this.
Wait,
Anyway, we can just cut this part out. Or maybe
yeah,
we won't.
well, that's the
Maybe we
power.
won't. Maybe we'll leave it in. I think the cool thing about this thing, this sort of um this relaxed setup is we can leave shit like this in. I think it's
Yeah.
just whatever.
Or we
If you
could
like
like
it,
do,
guys, we'll leave it in.
yeah, we'll do like little blooper episodes.
Yeah, we can. Oh yeah, I like that. I like that. Yes. So today we are going to be talking about modern dating challenges. We've got various topics coming up over the next few episodes with different um, deep dives into various topics to do with modern dating and relationships. Because, as everyone should know, me and Carly have got a lot to talk about when it comes to dating and relationships. We've got a lot to moan about. We've got a lot of experiences between us both that we can kind of share with you. And we're always trying to learn more, grow our emotional intelligence, learn more about relationships, and share that with you. And we would also love any feedback from you guys on topics that you would like us to talk about as well. So if you
Yes,
do have
definitely.
any
We want to,
ideas, drop us a
yeah,
DM on Instagram.
yeah, we definitely want to hear what you guys are facing. If you guys are going through the same things that we are, which I'm sure everyone is going through the same thing, but we're all feeling like we're going through it alone, which can
Yeah.
be really isolating. So we wanted to create this to build a community where you have someone that you can trust and rely on.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Couldn't put it better myself. So we've got some various talking points to do with modern dating to go through. So I'll just pick one out and we'll start. So there's one talking point that I wanted to kind of start with before, and it was digital body language and miscommunication. And a really good starting thing that I saw that I've written down is to do with letters and phone calls feeling enforced thoughtfulness. We worse texters now than our grandparents were letter writers. What do you think about that?
Me personally, I was saying earlier, I totally agree because, well, in my experience, I don't know if everyone else is going through this. When it comes to texting, I feel like verbal cues and also like physical, like body language cues to go off of because I don't sense any sort of emotions when I'm reading text messages. And so that's why I prefer, face to face because I can hear like your tone of voice. I can look at your body language. So I know your overall tonality of what we're communicating. And through text, I don't feel that whatsoever. So I'm always guessing, are they saying it this way? Do they mean it this other way? Are they like coming off rude or are they just very like monotoned and, don't really know how to communicate their emotions through text? And so I feel like I'm always trying to figure out how and what they actually mean when they're texting. And for me personally, I like a lot of details. And so when I am texting someone, I prefer to just write like a really long text or sending like multiple texts and using like emojis and also using, like, I don't know, like laughing emojis or anything like that, just so that they can tell my emotions versus just reading like a very short text that, they
Mm-mm.
can't really understand.
Yeah, but it sounds to me that you don't use emojis to explain the message you're trying to send. You use it to complement the message you've already written. So you'd
Exactly.
write something that is considered funny and put a laughing emoji at the end, rather than using an emoji to say a sentence, which can be misconstrued massively.
Yes, especially if people don't know how to use emojis, because I have come across people that will use the wrong emojis to a text that I have sent, and I get very confused. I'm like, why are you sending a laughing emoji over a text that I'm being very serious about? Like, are you not taking me seriously? Or they'll send an emoji that's kind of like rolling their eyes, and then they're like, no, I didn't mean it like that. And I'm like, well, I feel like you need to learn how to use the proper emojis because using the wrong one can send the wrong message, especially if you're using it to reply to the message versus using it to complement the message that you've already written.
Yeah. And there's been like cases that I've come across where people have thought certain emojis meant something else. And I think it's also down to where you're from and your environment and maybe the culture and the country that you're from as well. People have different ideas of what things mean.
Exactly.
Like, I can't think of an example, but I'll come back to this in my brain shortly. There has definitely been cases where like certain types of smiley emojis have been considered. That's it. The double eyes that look left.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have thought that's something that it's not. To me, I translate that as like I'm looking at you like what? Like I'm questioning your message with it,
Like
if you know what
the
I mean.
dog emoji that's like,
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of how I perceive those eyes. So, and then when people use it in a different way, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we have a different idea of what that means. So, I think this is where it's quite dangerous in the modern dating scene with text messages. Just write what you want to say, and then maybe use very simple emojis like a laughing face or a smiley face or a thumbs up or a heart. Just stick to those. Like, you can't really go wrong with those like four emojis, really, can you? As long as you're not using them to try and to write an entire message,
yeah.
write your message and then use them to complement your message. It's simple, really, isn't it? Simple communication skills. But versus, like, for example, our grandparents that used to have to write letters, entire letters, and send them off. I guess it depends on the person. Me and you are pretty good communicators over message, and we can get those messages to each other quicker. But I think the difference now is we can do things so quickly, so we maybe don't put as much time and effort and thought into the messages than we would have used to had to, because we would have had to sit down, write it out, give it some thought, because once it's sent, There's no undoing that message, deleting that message, editing that message like you can with modern day WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or iMessage. So maybe there is less thoughtfulness that goes into communication nowadays, which would make sense, wouldn't it? What
Makes
do
a
you
lot of
think?
sense. Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
an interesting point.
yeah, I completely agree with everything that you just said. It's so true. Yeah, there's not a
Mm,
lot of like thoughtfulness that's going behind every single text message that we are replying to, especially when it comes to dating in general, with the abundance of options that are out there, which can bring us to
that's
like
an
our next
interesting.
point, which would be,
That's an interesting segue
yeah,
into. Yeah, we'll talk about that now that you've segued into that. Yeah, I didn't actually think of that. There is maybe too much abundance in modern dating as well. So yeah, expand on that point. What do you think?
I'm thinking, especially when it comes with dating apps, there's an abundance of options out there, which can be very fatiguing, can be very crippling, especially if you are someone who has a very busy lifestyle, whether it is traveling, work, spending quality time with your friends, taking time with like, self discoverance and, taking up new jobs, not new jobs, picking up new hobbies and doing all of those things. And then also trying to date and get to know someone new. But not only that, especially when you have a bunch of people that you're talking to at the same time, so that you can try to narrow it down. Because, like we talked about the other day, dating is about numbers. And so you have your roster and everybody in it, and you're trying to go through the list and go through the motions to get to know everyone and filter out who you want and who you don't want. And that can be very, very exhausting, especially if you have a lot of choices to go through,
Mm,
which we did talk about that. You feel like women have more of the options and men usually don't. And with dating apps, you feel like men, they're making more money off of men because men usually have less choices. And so they have to like pay for different features to get more of those choices versus women usually just hop on and then there's like a whole bunch of different people and we're mostly just swiping left.
I think it's not just that men have less options. I think they're doing it on purpose to
Yeah.
I
Yeah, like they're
think
giving men
because
like options.
yeah, they're building that into their tech. I don't have evidence of this, but I feel from somebody that's in tech that the apps are designed to keep you on there. Biologically more geared up to be more visual is men. We are more visual. So the men are going to do more swiping because we are like visual creatures. We do like the look of and women make themselves look good. They put makeup on, they take better photos. And generally, we're going to be the ones that spend more money on things like this, the dating. So it makes sense from a business standpoint that they would limit our options and then make us pay to get access to basically what we would get access anyway with a normal algorithmic matching up service. So it really annoys me, and it really annoys me because that's their business model. Their business model is designed to keep you on the apps and make sure that you never find what you're looking for. And if you're never going to find what you're looking for, you're going to be endlessly paying them money, and that is great for them as a business, but it's not great for the consumer that wants to find love or wants to find a partner or wants to find whatever I'm looking for in the dating scene. So yeah, I think it's not just that we don't get matches because of, us being men. I think it's that they're doing it on purpose, or maybe 50-50, a bit of both. But definitely, I remember, I think I've told you this before about a year ago, I was at a pub quiz with some friends, and there was a lady there, and I remember comparing my Tinder to hers, and I had maybe 100 matches, likes. She had like 6,000 or 7,000 on Tinder of guys liking her. On Tinder it shows you how many likes you've got in the bottom, and she hadn't matched with them, and it was just like, she was just like, it's just too overwhelming. She was like, I can't go through these. And that's the modern dating scene for men. We are so far down that. And that's the other thing. If I swipe right on a girl that I like, I'm probably just getting added to the bottom of that list. So she's never even if I am a great guy, I've got good photos, I am good looking, I've got a great bio, I've set up my profile perfectly, and she would match with me, she's probably never even going to see my profile because I'm at the bottom of the list of 7,000 other men.
Yeah.
Can't win.
Which brings me to this question, which we'll ask our viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Is more option a freedom or a burden?
Wow, what a question. What would you rather have?
Yeah, it's like when you don't have, speaking from personal experience, we'll talk about my Hinge profile. And
yes.
In the past, I hated Hinge. I would never really get a bunch of matches on there or like really any likes or anything like that. But I also didn't do my part of swiping. I hated swiping. And so I would just wait for the guys to swipe. And then if I liked them, then I would match with them. And I just did not have a lot of options. But then I revamped my whole like profile. And while I was in Madrid, it literally was like 100+ likes per day, which could be very overwhelming, especially with like everything that I had going on. So before that, I was feeling a little bit down and insecure and feeling like, oh, maybe like I'm not good looking enough. And especially like the matches that they would give me and that they would say, oh, this is like your most like compatible match. They would not be physically attractive like whatsoever. And so I would just think, oh my God, am I like not pretty enough and I'm not good enough? What am I doing wrong? And then after I revamped everything and started to get more matches, now I'm like, this is a little bit overwhelming. I don't have the time to go through everything and, messaging people. I've also like stopped messaging like the guys first and wait for them to message me. And if they don't, then I don't really like bother with it. So so for me, I think it's been a burden to have too many options. There is such a thing as way too many options because
I agree.
You're just trying to go through the motions and filter everything out. So you don't really have the energy to make meaningful conversations with every single person that you might find attractive.
And expanding on the point of, is it a burden, or is having too many options a burden or a luxury? Or I can't remember how you worded it a second ago, but it was really good the way you worded it. But expanding on that point also, do you think even if somebody doesn't get matches, the availability to swipe through this endless human catalogue is making us pickier, less emotional, less connected, less like, if I'm seeing thousands of pretty women that potentially could be out of my league, I'm getting this false idea of what I'm of what's good and what also is within my reach as a man or as a woman as well. I think too much options in that sense as well is a damaging thing for the human brain, and we also become desensitized to real people's personality because we're just so caught up on physical looks and, like pictures of people in the most perfect way possible, which is unrealistic because everybody puts their best photo on the dating profiles as well. And this is only going to get worse with like the future of AI, with deep fakes and virtual models and all this stuff as well.
I actually want to talk about that.
Go on, let's talk about that.
Okay, you mentioned that and it popped in my head. When I was in Madrid, I noticed that some of the dating profiles, it was all AI photos of the guys.
It's a big thing at the moment.
Yeah.
There's actually paid services now where you can upload your photos from your dating profile and AI will make them better. Better. They're
I'm
not
like,
better. You can tell the fake
they're
straight
really
away.
not. I could tell. And it's them like cooking or doing like certain activities. And it's just like, it's very staged and
Yes.
not real at all. And I'm just thinking to myself, is this even who you are? Like, do you even do any of these things? But let
Probably
me
can't cook.
literally, I'm like, you probably can't cook. You definitely don't ride a horse.
You've never been to space. What the fuck is that about?
Never been to Greece. You've never been to Italy, so I don't know why you have a picture of yourself in Italy.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know what you mean though, because these apps always get advertised to me on, Instagram and stuff, and it's like they call them like X Riz, like they're like they've got like Riz in the names. These apps, and it's like they're designed at men to boost your profile and all this stuff, and it's not good. It's really not good. It's extremely fake. It's not authentic. People in the future are going to have a big problem with, especially as AI gets better, is picking out the real profiles versus the fake profiles, which is why I think it's so important for us to get off dating apps and get back to the real world, get back to meeting people in person.
Yeah.
Because you can't fake that. You can't fake real interaction, real human interactions. That's the only way we're ever going to be safe in dating again. That's the only
Yeah.
way. We have to go to real third spaces. We have to go to bars. We have to go to events. We have to do singles events. We have to meet at church, run into people at the grocery store again. Like all of this stuff that our grandparents did. We need to do that again because it's the real way of meeting people.
Speaking of meeting people at grocery stores, I remember when I was in Lisbon last year visiting family,
Yeah.
and they were telling me about this like I don't know, like it's not an event, this dating phenomenon that is going on. So people are going to grocery stores and they're getting like certain items and the different items represent different things. So I think
Right.
like a pineapple upside down means you're only looking for like hookups or something like that. I can't remember what the items were specifically, but one item would mean they're only looking for hookups. And they will just like, going down the aisle with that item. And then if, the other person has like the same item and you find them attractive, then like that like sparks up conversation. So yeah, so if
This
it's
is
like you're
like
looking for hookups or you're looking for like a relationship, you'd have like I think like a bottle of wine or like chocolates or something like that. But yeah, or if you're just
imagine you
looking for
didn't know.
huh?
Imagine you didn't know and you just went to buy a pineapple.
And it's just accidentally upside down, and they're like, "Yeah, you want to
Yeah.
try?"
Someone walks up to you and they're just like, "Hey, you want to come back to my place?" And you're just like, "Huh? What? This
But
never
yeah, my
happens to
sister
me.
told
I'm
me
really
this.
confused. I just came here for a pineapple."
But also, it's kind of sad that we're doing this instead of just going up to people and casually having a conversation and seeing if you even want to go through that. It's like we're trying to eliminate all of the pre-steps and just trying to get to like the end result, which is either finding a long-time life partner or just finding someone to like hook up with for the night. But we don't want to do any of the legwork to get there. We just want it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. We are trying to over processify things. We're trying to make things too simple, too quick.
Yeah.
And this is what dating apps have done. We're trying to make things too efficient, too part of the conveyor belt of and
Yeah.
it shouldn't be that way. There was a point I had before in my notes about slow dating. Let me see if I can find this. We'll talk about this.
Yeah.
Slow dating.
Also, I'm really liking this episode. We're a lot more
I'm enjoying. We're a lot more organized. Yeah, yeah. We must apologize for our previous episodes because the previous episodes we kind of had this unrealistic expectation that we could just chat as friends and talk about random stuff, and it kind of worked out for the first episode. The second episode, and it started going a bit downhill. We're back on the third now. we've decided to get more organized. We were actually going to record an episode yesterday, but we realized we weren't organized enough, so we postponed it till today. We did our research, we put together some talking points, and here we are. We've
And
actually
was a
got some
charm.
organization. But yeah, so there was a, I can't remember, I can't find it in my notes. There was a point about slow dating versus, let me see if I can remember it. People wanting things too fast. Yeah, people seem to be rushing through the dating steps, trying to get to love or hook up too quickly, rather than just taking time, having one date per week, maybe even not seeing each other for a month, doing some stuff from a distance, chatting, phone calls, the traditional slow dating that seems to have got lost in modern dating culture. I don't know if like everybody's having this problem, but I've definitely noticed, myself included, inadvertently trying to rush things sometimes. And then I've had to kind of remind myself that there's no need to rush things. You can just, like, for example, I'm talking to somebody at the moment, which I met in Madrid, and we just talk like once a week at the moment. And it's kind of nice because we're just chatting. I might be going back to Madrid next month, so I might see her again. But right now it's just relaxed, it's just casual. We message when we're both free, and that's how it should be. Who knows if anything will come of it? Like, it doesn't matter. There should be no expectations. There should just be this casual kind of human connection that will either turn into something or it won't. What do you think about that?
That one with me can get very tricky. So I'm thinking about
Okay.
it and thinking about my situation, which
Yes.
if it's becoming too slow. But also, I don't know. I feel like if the conversation that you've been having hasn't been one consistent in the way that you text each other and also how frequently you text each other. Because if the consistency is once a week or twice a week or things like that, then you're kind of used to it. But if it
Mm-hmm.
starts out as like talking every day, multiple times a day, to talking once a week and then the conversation's just starting to like die down, then I feel like that's not really slow dating. It's kind of just breadcrumbing or like slow ghosting. But I'm thinking if like you might not be talking every day, but every single conversation that you have is very in depth and has substance, then I think that one would be more of like the slow dating, getting to know each other at your own pace, not rushing into things, not planning dates every single day of the week or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, meeting like once a week if you are, within like a close distance. And if you're more of like doing like the long distance, like living in different countries or things like that, then with that one, I feel like maybe putting in a little bit more effort or, trying to do more like FaceTime calls versus just texting, even if it's like just FaceTiming once a week, because, you both can be very busy and you're not really in a relationship and you don't know where it's going. So you just want to take things slow and not really put much
Yeah.
thought into it. Sure, FaceTime once a week and you can talk about, what went on during the week and you'll actually have something to talk about versus texting every day and it's basically just the same thing over and over again. It's like, what'd you do today? What did you get into? How was your day? Which can be very underwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then also, yeah, if you're kind of doing the whole talking every day thing from a distance and your week is very much kind of like regimented, like you have a full-time job, you go into the gym every evening, talking every day could probably become, like you say, like you just mentioned there, a little bit kind of monotonous, kind of the same. Like, yes, you would end up having those conversations like, how was your day? Oh, I just did the same thing again. So that's where probably having a once every few days conversation or once a week conversation so you can kind of have something a bit more interesting to share might be better from a distance. But yeah, I think that's interesting, the breadcrumbing versus the slow dating. Sometimes there might be a fine line that is
Yeah.
probably quite hard to recognize. And maybe you can sometimes be too close to a situation and you might be like, this is slow dating, and you might be mistaking it for someone's breadcrumbing you or slow ghosting you. For those who have not listened to our previous episode about breadcrumbing, go listen to it. I tried to make up a new phrase called slow ghosting, but Karlie politely reminded me that there's already a phrase for it. That's why we've said both phrases there. So yeah, it's an interesting thing though. I think what you mentioned before about being in a close proximity, maybe you're in the same city, the slow dating would probably be more effective, because at least you know that you could probably meet in person more often, which would be more effective at keeping that kind of spark going than doing a once a week call from another country, which would be much harder to keep that spark going, because there's only so much intimacy you can kind of generate from a phone call or a video call. You know, physical touch, you can't get that. You can't get body language. You can't get all those kind of like butterfly buzzing feelings that you get from smiling at somebody in person instead of over a video call.
Yeah, which will bring me to my next question that I want to ask our viewers.
Yes.
Can slow dating coexist with on-demand culture, or will intentionality become niche luxury?
Niche luxury. Intentionality become a niche luxury. That is deep. Yeah. I think intentionality is already a niche luxury. I think intentionality is rare. People are not intentional. People are casual. People are casual in their dating. People are casual about how they go about things. The whole dating apps and the whole modern dating culture has made people unintentional, or not unintentional, but they don't have intention of being serious.
Which, let's talk about like the next thing, which would be the intentionality gap.
Let's go.
So
Let's
like
talk about
the
that.
mismatch between I'm just here for fun and also I want an actual partner, which I feel like from the women's standpoint, when most of us are looking for, a lifetime partner. And when we are on dating apps, we will put that on there. And then a lot of the guys that we will see are figuring out my relationship type or looking for short-term relationship, which the short-term relationship, why would you be looking for a short-term relationship?
It's
Why
like
would you
saying,
be
I'm just looking to get hurt.
Exactly. I'm just looking for a relationship that's just not going to last. That makes no sense. I get if it like ends, if it just happens to be short because you guys are two completely different people. You might not get along. You might not be a great match. Sure. But you intentionally look for that, then that's not really attractive.
What do you translate as a short-term relationship?
A
What do you translate
situation,
that to? Yeah.
a situationship.
It can either be translated as a situationship or a hookup. I think it's
Yeah.
like a polite term for one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's a way of being polite about, I either just want to hook up or I want to hook up and make you think it's a relationship,
Yeah.
which is what situationship is, which is horrible. I think that's the worst. I think that's one of the worst things that's come out of modern dating is these modern terms for things that are just excuses for being a fucking arsehole.
Yeah.
Really. Like maybe hooking up is you're not really being an arsehole. As long as you're both on the same page and you're very clear about your intentions and both of you are very okay with it, that's, I think, is actually perfectly healthy. But I think situationships are the most unhealthy thing to ever come out of modern dating culture, because it's literally, it's like usually one of them's gaslighting the other person into thinking it's a relationship. If you're both somehow clear on what's going on and somehow okay with it, then I guess it could be healthy, but you're both asking to get hurt, because naturally as humans, we are going to generate feelings. Well, you are going to generate feelings for each other, good or bad. You're either going to love someone or you're going to end up hating someone. But you are going to generate feelings for that person. Doesn't matter whether they're good or bad. So they're just terrible ideas. Let's either be very healthy adults and have a very serious, transparent conversation with each other and say, okay, I'm only going to hook up because I'm here for the weekend, or I'm just too busy at the moment. So if you want something from me, it will just purely be like one hookup. And let's be very clear with each other. Or let's do nothing at all and just do a relationship.
Yeah. And I've really appreciated the men that I've come across on dating apps that were very honest about just looking for hookups, because at least I'm like, now I know. And if I did find them attractive and I also just wanted to hook up, I would say, sure, I'm down for that. But if I was just looking for, something serious and I was just not in the mood for any hookups or anything like that, then I would say, well, thank you for letting me know, but we're not on the same page. So I hope you find what you're looking for. Simple as that. But people try to make it so complicated, and they will say, no, like, I'm also looking for relationships. Like I've met people where like on their profile it will say just looking for hookups. And then I will text them and say, it doesn't look like we're on the same page. I'm looking for a serious relationship. And they're like, oh no, I'm also looking for like a serious relationship. And I wrote that like a while ago, blah 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 blah. Well, why haven't you changed your profile? Why haven't you updated that to reflect how you actually feel?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I mean, I made that mistake a few years, like about a
Johnny,
year ago. But I was actually, I changed my profile to say short term relationship out of interest to see what the results would come up with.
yeah,
And wasn't really serious about that decision and didn't change it back. And I didn't realize I hadn't changed it back. And I had that situation exact happen to me. But I was in the very small percentage of men that was actually being honest when I say I forgot to change it back. Like, please believe me, Carlie. Like, I promise I wasn't being
believe you. You've never
malicious.
lied to me. Johnny's not a liar, so I
I don't
believe him.
lie.
He's actually brutally honest,
I preach about all this honesty in relationships, and I always try to live by it. Try to live by it. I'm not
and
perfect.
he does.
Yeah, I think
And
like
all of his
it's
friendships
just
too, whether I like it
yeah,
or not. I,
yeah,
I will want him to feed into my delusions, and he's like, no, you have your
yeah.
girls for that. I'm going to be brutally honest with
Exactly,
you. I'm like, okay. Which
exactly.
I really
Honesty
appreciate it.
is
Yeah, I love having a friend that I can like I know that I can come to you when I actually want honesty and I want something to change in my life. If I'm maybe feeling a little bit down and I just want like someone to feed into my delusion, I will go to my girls for that.
But if you want an honest answer and the truth,
Yeah.
in a nice way, of course, there's a way of delivering the truth in a kind way. You don't have to be a dick about it.
Yeah. And you are very good at being honest without being a total asshole, which I
I
really
think
like.
so. I try my
Which,
best.
yeah, I think everyone, which I kind of want this to be like the next talking point. It might not be something that we
Mm,
had discussed previously, but it just popped into my head.
go for it.
Heterosexual male and female friendships.
Heterosexual. So can men and women be friends?
Yeah. But also, like, I feel like having a strong relationship with the opposite sex, I don't know, it can kind of just like be very healthy because it shows that you are capable of being friends with the opposite sex without having any like sexual attractions or like romantic attractions. Because I feel like these days it's so generalized that men and women are incapable of being just friends. And they're like, it's
I
not
think it's
possible. Like, someone will catch feelings or things like that. And I just feel like that's not true. Having you in my life has opened up the way that I see men as well. And also how I would like to be treated like by men. And I feel like any strong romantic relationship should have a strong platonic relationship like in there. Like you should have a strong friendship with each other and you should be like friends and also like romantic partners. Like it's not just about, like the sex and the romance. It's also about, like having jokes with each other, having someone that you can go to when you want 100% honesty without feeling, pained.
this is a fantastic talking point, and I've got a lot to say about this. I think okay, where do I start? With the male and female friendship thing or situation,
Yeah.
this is a lot of guys like to be very absolute about this, and it's like no, women cannot be friends. And I used to be this way about a year ago. My firm point on it about a year ago was no, men and women can't be friends because the man will always want more. Generally that is kind of true, but I think there are a lot of exceptions which I've had my eyes open to. I think it depends on how you view the person. For me, I can be friends with a woman if I've realized that there can be nothing between us emotionally or physically. And as soon as I realize that point, it kind of zaps just literally just like destroys any thoughts of that between us. And I immediately see them as just a person that they're nice and I can be friends with them. And then there are other situations which I've experienced where I've thought a woman was pretty and attractive, and there's been maybe like, I mean, I'm a single guy, I can have these thoughts, and I've thought maybe there's something there, and then when I realized the emotional criteria was not met, it sapped it. And then also I've realized because of that, we were never going to be that good of a friends anyway, because I think the emotional criteria that didn't get met was also a friendship criteria. So it pushed them away as a friend as well. And it was more, they became more of an acquaintance that I've kept in touch over maybe Instagram here and there. So it depends on the situation. And then there are more extreme scenarios like if you've grown up together and you've seen them in a certain light, and it just zaps all thoughts or all possibilities of anything emotional or physical because you've seen them as a child, and you can't get them out of your head as a baby because you've known them since they were 4 years old. There's a lot of I can't think of the word, but a lot of scenarios which can happen, which can create the situation where you can be friends with a woman and the woman can be friends with a man. Like if you see someone as a sister and they see you as a brother, it depends on how you view each other. And I've got a few cases of these in my life. And then there is a much more stereotypical answer to this, and you're not going to like this one. This is more common than any others. He doesn't find you attractive.
Which I mean,
That's it.
that's fine because like that like works both ways. The question that used to be in the past was women can be friends with a guy that they don't find attractive and like simply like be friends, but guys, they can't even be friends with a woman that like they don't find attractive. Like they just don't, they only are nice to women that they do find attractive. And so that's why it's hard for them to like be in a platonic relationship, because usually like guys will, like, this is just generalizing it, but usually
Mm-hmm.
guys will only want to be surrounded by a woman if they want something from her, which is,
Which is shallow and says a lot
yeah.
about you as a person.
Exactly. Which, like, not all guys are like that. And I've definitely learned that. But yeah, because I mean, the whole point of like being friends, like, you can find someone you can look at them and say he's an attractive person or she's an attractive person, but there's no like physical attraction, like,
Mm.
between each other. Like you're a handsome guy, but there's no physical attraction. Like, I find my girls to be beautiful women, but there's like no physical attraction. Like, I don't want
Of course,
anything
yeah.
out of that. You can acknowledge
Yes.
that someone is like an attractive person, like in general, but
Yes.
there's nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and
It's
it's like a lot of
exactly, you couldn't have put it better.
yeah, like a lot of guys, like in the past, I'm sure there's a lot of men out there who are like you, who are very capable of being friends with a woman that they're not attractive to because, they actually like women in general. And, they might look up to women for like certain things and they enjoy having conversations with women without wanting to get into their pants. But there are still a lot of immature men out there who they don't view women as just a person. They only view women as sexual objects or something to obtain and conquer versus an actual person with personality and feelings, and, is capable of having complex thoughts and emotions.
I think those type of men are probably not the ones that are capable. I mean, I'm probably generalizing here and I might insult a lot of men here, but fuck it, I don't care. Those type of men are probably not that capable of having good relationships if they can't
Yeah,
view women in that way.
which is
If you
so
can't
true.
see someone as just a person, then how are you ever going to have a relationship? Because come back to a point that you made earlier about the foundation of a healthy relationship is having a good friendship. If you can't even have that with a person, a woman, how are you going to have a strong relationship if you can't even build those fundamental foundations in the first place? So I don't know. There's not a lot of hope for somebody like that. They probably need to do some work on themselves to kind of see people as people.
Yeah.
There's one thing that
Because
I've
if
done a
you
lot of
if
work on
you take
myself
away
is,
yeah, like if you take
sorry,
away
go
the
on.
part of a relationship, do you have anything substantial at all?
I mean, you've just
If
got a
not,
sexual relationship, and that can go away very quickly if somebody lets themselves go or doesn't stop
exactly.
taking care of themselves.
And
You've got to build that friendship relationship first.
yeah. And a lot of what makes the sex part of it great is the emotional connection and the safety and vulnerability that you have built with that person.
Hmm.
So it's like if you don't have that, then the sex isn't all that great. Or sometimes like the sex could be like really great, but it's just that. It's just sex. Like there's no actual strong relationship between you two. So,
Yeah, I think it
and a
depends on
relationship
the,
is a lot more.
yeah, it definitely adds that extra layer to it. And if you're not friends with the person, best friends, and you kind of care about them on that level, it's going to make sex very transactional, shallow. Maybe it depends what you're into at that time in your life. Me personally, I've made a rule for myself that I'm not doing kind of shallow experiences like that anymore because I've had enough of them, and they make you feel soulless and empty. They make you feel a bit shit about yourself. I think everyone should experience them because
Yeah.
you don't know
You know,
what
you
you.
think you're,
This is a phrase that encapsulates a lot of things in dating. You don't know what you don't like until you've found it and tried it. You don't know what you like or what you don't like until you've tried it, which is why I recommend people do a lot of dating or a good amount of dating to find out to find out what they don't like first, because that helps you identify the red flags that you're not willing to accept in people. That's a mistake a lot of people make. Going back to that slow dating point we were making earlier, very important. Mixed with that, if you're rushing through things, you're not going to figure out what you like and what you don't like in people because you're not taking the time to identify those things.
yeah. And I'm
Sorry, I
taking a
kind
new
of
vow
segued there.
for I'm taking a new vow for myself, which is very much slow dating. I will not
Hmm.
be getting intimate and physical with someone unless I figure out that, I can even be friends with them because I do want something serious. And so,
Hmm.
done enough of my, just having fun. I've gone through my little hookup era and, there's nothing to it. I'm over it. I'm ready for something real. And I want someone to view me as, the funny, cute, crazy girl that I am before we get into anything like that. So that's going to be my vow. And I know that Johnny's going to hold me accountable.
Of course, we keep each other accountable, don't we? Although I've not
But
been stretching. I've been stretching at the gym, but you've been sending me messages like, "Have you stretched today?" Because we've decided to help each other make healthier routines, like stretching in the morning. I've been going to the gym a lot. I've been running a lot, but I've not been stretching that much, except at the gym. I need to do a morning stretch thing,
yeah,
so
I have
I've not been
been
following your
doing
lead.
very well. I've been stretching every single day, although usually I do it twice a day. But I think 2 days ago, I didn't do it at night, which I was beating myself up for it. But Johnny just reminded me that, it's okay. You can't be perfect every day. But, I tried my best. And then yesterday I did both morning and night, and I achieved my goal, which was to touch my nose to my knees. And
That
I
came back
have
quick, didn't it?
and I recorded it and sent a video to Johnny.
Yeah. I could never get my nose to my knees. I mean, you've done a lot of kind of like dynamic stretching and athletic stuff in the past, so I feel
Yeah,
like
like I
your
was a
body was gonna,
cheerleader. I
yeah,
was a cheerleader when I was
it
in
was
high
gonna come
school
back
and
quick.
college. And so that was something that I was so used to. And the reason that I started stretching again was because I was feeling like I wasn't who I was in college, which was an athlete who had a very organized schedule and having a stable routine, and then not having that in my life anymore, which was kind of taking a toll to like my mental health, which I think also impacted, like my dating life and going, on dates just because I have like nothing else to do and like having no routines and just feeling lost. Like I don't know who I am anymore because I don't have that identity behind me and I'm trying to figure out who I am. So I don't know. I've started to like take control by stretch something simple every day, just stretching, just to kind of build some sort of a routine. And then, figuring out like who I am without cheerleading.
You keep it up, and I'm glad it's making you happy.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So we'll do a little wrap up now. I've got some notes about the wrap up, and I think based on everything that we've talked about today, I mean, me and Carly, we shit on dating apps a lot for good reason. So here's a little challenge for our listeners. I want you to delete the apps for a week, and I want you to attend one real world event, a mixer, a singles event, just an event you can find on like Meetup app, some kind of dating service. Attend one and delete the apps and see how much it changes your view on modern dating. And then once you've done that, I want you to come find us on Instagram and send us a message with your feedback so we can share that with the world.
Yes,
Sound good?
definitely. We
Perfect.
want to hear your real life experiences. Don't be shy. I want details. I'm a girly, so I want details. This is,
Mm-hmm.
our what I did with my girls in Madrid was we would have our brunch debrief and we would talk about every single thing that's going on in our life, especially when it comes to dating and guys. So for all of the girls out there, I know that you guys are not going to disappoint and you will come with, a very detailed DM. My challenge is for the guys. Don't be afraid to do the same.
Yeah, come on, guys. I mean, you can be
Yeah.
brief about it. You can give us very short, vague details. That's okay, because you probably will anyway. But at least just share something with us so that we can
Try to
get
try
some
to
feedback.
lean into like the more detailed side of storytelling. No, it's okay. We're not gonna judge. We're not gonna judge you whatsoever.
No, we're not. Maybe a little. No, we're not. Don't worry.
No, we're not. I'm
Okay.
scared. I don't bite unless you want me
Okay, Carly.
to. And we're done. Okay, what is
Okay, yeah. So the final thing is thank you very much for listening. I know I don't know how long this episode's going to be after we cut out some of the bad stuff, but thank you for listening to this episode of me and Carly talk about modern dating and everything that we think is wrong with it, everything we think is good of it. If you have any feedback, we will do like a Q&A session on Instagram, or you can, this is going to be on YouTube, so you can put a comment down below and we will read your comments and reply because we want to kind of interact with you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and we will see you next time.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Bye.